Hello, boys and girls. Right now we're going to go over graphic features and text features of different stories that we've read so far. So let's first talk about graphic features. Graphic features means like a photograph, a picture, a drawing, a photo. This story we read yesterday, Lucia's Neighborhood, it has photos in it. However, when we read Curious George last week, this story's graphic features were drawings. Okay, and also these things right here are part of the things you see. They're graphic features. So graphic, photograph, has to do with the kind of pictures that you're looking at, whether they're photos or drawings or paintings or whatever. There's also text features, and those are parts of the text, such as in our story we read yesterday, Lucia's Neighborhood, these headings that have text, that have words in them. They're text features. These are called headings right here. But there's also other kinds of text features like special typing, like the word storms. That's a special typewriter they use for that. This is another kind of type. Look at how Lucia's type is different from the storms type, and that's different from the Curious George type. Where did the Curious George go? See? So the letters look different. The words look different. Okay, so these are text features. When you're looking at the words on the page, those are the text features. We have lots of colors in these words. Then there's all different kinds of types. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and look at some vocabulary words. Actually, they're not vocabulary words. They're story words that you're going to have to read in Lucia's Neighborhood. And that's the title, by the way. The title of the story is the name of the story, Lucia's Neighborhood. It says it's written and photographed by George Ancona. Hey, he's the author, and he also photographed it. So if Mrs. Gillum ever asks you, George Ancona wrote this book and he also blank, he also took the photographs, right? Because it says it was written and photographed by George Ancona. But anyway, the word neighborhood means the people that live in an area and the places where they live. So in Mojave, the people around you that you live with, you deal with, are your neighborhood, and also just where it is. So that's the word neighborhood. It's the very biggest, toughest one, except for firefighters. That's a hard word too. But remember, that one says neighborhood. This one says hi, and that's just when you say hello, right? Hello, hi. That's in our story. Lucia, that's a girl's name. Don't get tricked by that C. It has an I after it, so it says C. It says its name, not its short sound. Lucia. Goal, remember? She had a soccer ball, so that means, that kind of goal means when you score a point in soccer, you have to kick the ball into the net, and that's a goal in this story. It has multiple meanings, but that's what it means in this story. Then we have plant. That's a living thing like a flower or a tree. Not a living thing like an animal. A plant. It has roots in the ground. A plant. Street is another story word, and that's just like a road in a city or a town. A street. This word you have to read says car. A machine with 4 wheels. It has an engine in it to make it go. Car. This is that other tough word. This word says firefighters. Something belongs to the firefighter. You can tell by the apostrophe S. Do you remember what it was? Was it the firefighter's pants? Yes, the pants belonged to the firefighter. Remember, she wore them? And pants are just like trousers, jeans, pants that you wear. Oh, that's another tough word that you're going to have to learn to read. It says librarian. A librarian works in the library. And she will let you check out a book. This word says book, and that's something you read. And remember at the end, she went home. And home is a place where people live. Okay, so let's just read this one more time. Neighborhood. Hi. Lucia. Goal. Plant. Street. Car. Firefighters. Pants. Librarian. Book. And home. So I'm just going to read the text to you, the story to you again. And I'm going to have some questions. And one of them is going to be, is this a fantasy or is this realism? Fantasy, remember that means make-believe, or realism, like it could really happen. Lucia's Neighborhood, written and photographed by George Ancona. That's George Ancona. Hi, I am Lucia. Can I get a goal? Yes, we win. We all get pins. What can Mom and I do? Look what we get here. And where did they go? They went to the bakery and then they got their pan de dulce. I'm going to read this heading. That's part of the text features. Pet shop. I can look at pets here. It is fun. These are sort of like captions because they tell more about the pictures. They're not labels. They're not headings. They're captions. They're more than one word. Plant shop. Mom let me get a plant here. It is not big yet. Street. Who can fix the street? Here is the man who can fix it. Here's another heading. Garage. Who can fix a car? Here is the man who can fix it. This says firehouse. Who has on firefighter's pants? They are too big to fit me yet, I would say. Another heading says library. Does the librarian help me? Yes. We sit and look at my book. My home. Is it fun to be home? You bet it is. So she had a long day. So, was Lucia's Neighborhood a fantasy or realism? If you look at it and it could happen, then it's realism. Everything you see could happen. It's realism. It's not like Curious George. Curious George was a fantasy where he was like acting like a human or doing things that you would not ordinarily expect him to do. That's fantasy, but this one was realism. Okay, so I'm going to ask you some questions. If you don't know, we'll go look at the picture. So what was this story mostly about? Was this story mostly about playing soccer, going to the library, or was it mostly about a girl and her neighborhood? What was it mostly about? Oh, about a girl and her neighborhood. That was the correct answer. So here's another question. Stories that just that give information about a topic and that can really happen. Is that fantasy or realism? Oh, realism. Or you can also call it informational text. So what does Lucia do at the beginning? I'm not going to go to the beginning, but can you remember what she does? Does she visit a mechanic at the beginning? Does she go to the pet shop? Or does she play soccer at the beginning? Let's see. What does she do at the beginning? Did you say that she played soccer? Yeah. First page of the story. Beginning of the story. She's playing soccer. That's what she does at the beginning of the story. So, do you remember what Lucia did at the pet shop? It didn't say what she did. You had to have looked at the picture. If you were looking at the picture, you knew that she held that bird. Whatever kind of special, maybe it's more than a parrot. It might be a macaw or something. Do you guys remember what a mechanic does in the story? Does a mechanic help sick animals? Does a mechanic bake donuts? Or does a mechanic fix your car? Oh, there's the mechanic. Did we go over that word? A mechanic fixes your car. That's what he does. He doesn't bake donuts. Do you guys know what the people who live in an area and the places around them is called? Is it called a neighborhood? Are the people who live in an area around you called a school? Or are the people who live in an area around you called a soccer team? If you said that the people who live around you in an area around you are called a neighborhood, you were right. And finally, where did Lucia go at the end of the story? Did she go home, to the fire station, or to the library? You're right. She went home. All right. Toodaloo.